company started up in around about 2001, early 2002, which was when a sign went up on the little petrol station, which was a handwritten sign that said, "This petrol station will close on Friday night." At that stage, a group of townspeople got together and thought, well, we either sit around and whinge about rural decline or we get off our backsides and do something about it.
Absolutely vital. Without the petrol station, the closest petrol we had was in Wodonga. And like if you drove into Wodonga to get petrol, by the time you drove back, you've used a 30 petrol. And there was no other way we could get it there.
I'll tell you what we had. We had a business that was losing $500 a week. We had no money, we had no land, but we had a few people around who had a bee in their bonnet about this issue of sort of community decline, and there's got to be a way to address that. The plan involved leasing this land, widening the shareholder group, so moving from a private company structure to a public company, running a public share offer to raise capital, which we did, and using the capital we raise to build this facility. So over the next 18 months, we did a lot of marketing, a lot of communication with the community, talking about options, a lot of research on fuel and what it costs to buy Bowsers, and a lot of bowing and scraping and calling in favours from various people, as you can imagine, and put together a package which we presented to the community and sort of said, okay, if you buy some shares in this, we'll build a fuel station and it'll be community owned. We set a target of, I think we set a target of $380,000, and we made a decision before it all sort of come in at the last day because no one knew what anyone else was doing, and we made a decision in our own right that we could go ahead if we raised about 250 and we could borrow the rest, and we'd build something not quite as nice. We might have had to not have concrete out here, for example, and might have only had one Bowser. And then by the end of the day, the tally was 412,000. So we were pretty happy with that. And what that meant is we were able to build to the plan that we had rather than compromise on the design and leave things out. But also we had a little bit of working capital to buy half the first truckload of fuel.
Once it came out and people, it even went out as far as Deadering, and people even out that far, farmers and God knows what, rushed it. Not just rushed it, but put their money where their mouth was. And that was the best part of it. So it was, they got off to a better start than we hoped for. We was hoping that it would, get it up and running, but there's enough money produced to do everything at once.
If you think we've got about 388 shareholders, the township has got about 900 people. If you go to Allen's Flat and Osborne's Flat and down to sort of the sort of surrounding catchments, it's probably about 1,500 people in that community. But if you look at that sort of ratio of number of people in the shareholding group, it's very high. So if you take that population down to the number of households, I'm guessing there's probably about 800, maybe 600 to 700 households in our catchment, which means we've got 50% of the households who are actually shareholders of this business, or very roughly.
Last share intake, I bought shares for my 3 children, or my 3 children bought shares, one each. So I've got now an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old that are shareholders in YCDco.
When we're at the top end of Collins Street here, we're talking about farmers, dairy farmers, and we're talking about people at that stage where it was another drought. It was the last drought, not this one, but and we're asking them to sort of cough up their hard-earned cash to buy into a business which was universally accepted as an absolute mugs game. Who in their right mind would sell petrol? But they recognise that, so it was a bit of a hard sell in some respects. Some people, I think, took the view that, and a minority took the view that, we've just got to go with the flow. It's the way of the world. We can buy our petrol in Wodonga. It's not the end of the world. It's a bit of an inconvenience. But there were some people who were sceptics, thinking that I think that maybe we were a bit too big for our boots and a bit too clever by half. But I think it's also true to say that a number of us have got a bit of the I don't know what we've got in us, but if it's sort of counterintuitive, we sort of think, bugger it, let's have a crack at it. We got a lot of support from the council. The council were really good. I think the council recognised that. I mean, the trouble with these things is that whenever something like this happens, there's public meetings, everyone goes screaming to the council saying, do something, do something, do something. And of course the reality is they can't just intervene in every property that goes, every business that goes pear-shaped and rescue it, irrespective of the impact on the community. So their hands were tied a little bit. And I think what we offered them, we sort of said, if you come to the party with a bit of facilitation and give us the land lease, all they had to do was lease us the land, because this is a council depot out the back here, we would do the rest. And that way it's in the hands of private enterprise, because we're a private company. And they were happy with that. But look, they helped us a lot, and they've given us, and also they've given us this site here at a nominal rental for a period of years until we get up and running. So, you know, in doing that, they've recognised the community benefit of all this and the economic benefit in terms of creating jobs in a small township, which is a very hard thing to do.
It's a success because the people who work here, the administrators of it, and the community spirit that exists in getting this off the ground, and they want to see it succeed.
The first thing is when we took over the petrol station down in the main street, it was selling between 10,500 and 11,000 litres of fuel a week. Today, we've for the last 12 months, we've consistently sold about 35,000 litres a week. The first stage of this facility here cost about $400,000 to build, and over the 5 years since then, we've invested at least another 100,000, probably close to 150,000. So what you see in here now is not just a petrol station, but in fact this business makes more money from non-fuel sales in hardware, rural supplies, fencing, stock feeds, posts, wire, gates. We've now got the gas distributorship here. We're currently just over $3 million. We're looking at over $3 million a year here now. So it's quite a significant business. But there's been weeks where we have sales of, $70,000 in a week in here, which is a pretty significant amount of money for a small town.
It employs 13 to 15 people directly that work here, so it's a viable business that's able to give back money to shareholders and money to the town. It's most probably one of the best things that's happened to this town since we had the bushfires go through, in business-wise and employment-wise.
We probably provide the equivalent of 2 to 3 full-time jobs in this township, and in a town of 1,000 people, that's a really important factor. One of the other things that sort of happened is that you sort of need to fill the roster out with young people. So what we've found is that we've often got a lot of the younger boys working here. A lot of the girls were getting jobs in the town at the bakery and the milk bar, but there wasn't that much for the boys. So the boys are tending to we've got girls working here too, but it was providing a different source of kids' employment here. We didn't set it up on a purely for-profit basis. We set it up on 50%. So when we wrote the Constitution, we wrote in what's called the Community Commitment Clause. That's Clause 27. What it says is that for every dollar of profit this business makes, we will distribute 50% of that back to a community cause or project, which is, quote, to better the social, cultural and economic condition of the Yackandandah community and its surrounds.
Crucial to keep the money circulating in a town. It provides employment, lets us add more services, just gives life to the shops and to the residents itself, yeah.
I think it's been great for the town. We had no fuel and we've come up with this concept. It's been great. Shareholders, all the people that are shopping here, the locals that are shareholders, you don't have to, the prices of fuel's gone up, you don't have to travel into Albury or Wodonga, and half the profits go to the community, half to the shareholders.
Probably the best thing is because everybody has an interest in it, So we get a little dividend, but the money that it makes, we see where it goes. It goes into the community, into the sports parks, hospital, or what any local people want something, a tennis club, football clubs, all those get a little bit, which they gauge on, and say on how quick it's needed or whatever, because it all comes back into the place.